The underrepresentation of women in leadership positions has created a gender gap that exists in many areas of the workplace, industries, and even governments. Society has almost determined that only men make effective and good leaders. Some continue to hold on to the belief that women are less capable, less competitive, or less productive than men, thus denying easy access for women bold enough to seek leadership roles because they largely do not fit the norm. Lack of political representation, uneven access to education and opportunities, amongst others, have been identified by experts as some of the reasons for the underrepresentation of women in leadership positions and in government. African women who seek leadership roles have continued to face obstacles that many men do not resonate with, causing many aspiring female leaders to give up after becoming overwhelmed from dealing with these obvious barriers, thereby willingly taking the back seat. But do men really make better leaders? And how does the continuous gender gap impact women's development?
No doubt, women and men have their biological and physiological differences. But you and I both know that educationally, socioeconomically, and occupationally, and otherwise, we have a common feature. Women have a common feature with men. Because when we go to acquire education, there are no separate courses for men. Men and women take the same courses. And sometimes when you look at the demographics of such courses, women are the ones that are the high flyers in those courses. However, the discrimination against women, which I think is an inherent thing that comes with men, because I don't think they set out to do it, but because it's inherent, they just can't see women as their partners in progress. They tend to look at women as their competition, which is wrong. It is high time that the man begins to see a woman as his partner in progress and not his competition, which makes her not to be able to function properly in the public space and even in the private domain. Then we come to look at issues of inequality. We are political empowerment, economic empowerment, and amongst others, are denied women. So if our government and other stakeholders make programs and policies that will empower women politically, socially, and economically, I think this problem will largely be under control.
First of all, I have to talk about the women as leaders. A leader is someone who is ahead of others, moving with people, leading people for them to achieve something. As women leaders, from what I understand, it's about you. Leadership is about you knowing yourself, knowing who you are, your limits, your personality type, your strengths and your weaknesses, and seeing how you can lead other women, build good relationships with them, strengthen them, so that together, through our actions, we can come out with results that can impact other women. And this is a very good idea as leadership is concerned, but we find ourselves as women sometimes very limited. There is nothing limiting women. It's just that sometimes women limit themselves because of the way society, all the issues, the way society started looking at them. So much so that they feel that they are not up to the task. And we say that individuals, like the women, sometimes we are our own barriers. People just believe that they cannot do something. and they stick to that belief. And since things are changing, and in most areas, men have been in certain positions that women could not. Can women not hold those positions? They can. They all have all the potentials because of the environment, because of the education and the lack of education, the lack of processes. They have not been able to take up those responsibilities. And that's why AULO, the African Women in Leadership Organization, came up to make sure that women, they know themselves. Instead of nurturing their children, they can nurture the whole community. Women should not limit themselves. They have all the potentials that if we can build their capacities, they will be able to achieve and bring good results that can impact the society.
Women may be more qualified. On the other hand, their natural abilities help them to handle such positions or responsibilities, because women are multidimensional and they are multitaskers. They can do many things at once. It is true also that they have many more responsibilities. For instance, if you want to say a woman that is supposed to be, let's say, an accountant, a chartered accountant, what else should she do above being a qualified chartered accountant besides what a man is? Because if both of them study accountancy, for instance, and they are chartered accountants, I think they should be able to execute. The woman should be able to execute in whatever role she's put to play. If it's administration, the woman studied administration in her home. That's one of the things we need to understand. Because right from creation, a woman is an administrator. She handles the home. You give her money, she brings food. You give her a sperm, she produces a baby. She manages the home and makes sure that it's running well. So that already qualifies a woman. But maybe in some other professions, which I may not know, speaking here, they may need more. I don't know that for now. But I wouldn't roll it off like no is a no. There is no no in any of such. They could be. But when I look at a woman that I know, and I look at a woman, I know that women are qualified. If they study, if they go to school, if they put in the efforts to gain the qualification, and you let them do the work, they're going to do the work.
Men have been playing in leadership positions for decades now, and females in positions that are male-dominated have indicated that there is a need to be better qualified than the men with whom they compete. So, even though women have greater capabilities now than ever before, there is still a significant leadership gap. The question is, are there women qualified and experienced enough to play in the same space as men, as well as women who, despite obvious role boundaries, believe that they are fit and ready to take on leadership roles and positions?
No woman has been able to emerge as the governor of her state, not because we didn't contest. And no woman has been able to rise as the president of this nation because the political parties have not given a woman the chance to contest. And we women love to submit. Women love to submit to their men, especially women that are clamoring for positions of leadership in the public space. And when your husband begins to threaten you with divorce and separation, as a woman, you want the future of your children to be intact. And so you weigh that and you take the decision that shortchanges you in forging on, because you wouldn't want to cause a breakage in your family because you want to go and rule in the public space, because charity begins at home, so it's said.
Women are natural nurturers and can be great leaders. And just because they didn't know that they had that ability. They have not been able to put that to use. So it's one thing to, to know who you are, by the way, and then know what you can do before you can step out to do that. So women are great leaders by nature. In fact, the men that have been leading have all passed through the wombs of women. Any great man you've seen out there came through a woman. And so that woman was the first leader of the man, or of the leaders we are talking about today, which means they can as well lead. But there's one thing I also believe, is that roles are complementary. If women can take their places, they will complement very well wherever. There will be a gap if a woman is absent. If women are absent in those posts of responsibility, because the truth is they have the abilities. They are equipped for it. They are designed for it. What is leadership? It's influence. Leadership is influence, and women can influence very well. They influence from the background, and they can influence from the forefront. So anywhere you place a woman, she can influence. The only issue may be about the boundaries of her influence. Like, okay, what can I do here? Can I be a state minister, for instance? Can I be a parliamentarian? Can I become a senator? So those were those things that kind of, because of some limiting beliefs, women were not showing up for such. Nobody refused them, but they just didn't show up. Cultural taboos, of course, and then limiting beliefs, and then low self-esteem made it that even women who were educationally qualified, they didn't see themselves forging ahead in such roles. But I believe that narrative is changing.
It is not particularly that women are not ready to take these positions, but the structures and systems that the political parties put up are the ones that make it impossible for women to come out contesting for those positions. And when one dares to, there is all manner of gang up, politically and maritally. And so at the end of the day, it is now looked as if it is the woman, but what goes on behind the closed doors of political parties and homes is as a result of why you have not seen too many women coming out to contest for presidency. That is why we've been saying, and I'm still saying here, that if our men, we appreciate the values that God has put in us women, because we are the ones who birth nations. A man is a nation. The heart of a human being is a nation on its own. And if a woman is the one that God saw deemed fit to knit that nation in your womb, and you carried for 9 months, and you brought to birth, and you nurtured to be a person of character and discipline in the society, what stops the woman from putting those practices into place when given the position of leadership as a governor of a state and as the president of the country? So it is not about the women. The women are ready. It is our Nigerian men. It is high time they accept this fact that we are not their competition, but we are their partners in progress. And they should stop putting structures and programs in places that will impede on the rise of women to such highbrow positions in political leadership.
Since women and men have different leadership styles, it is believed that the gender gap in leadership may represent an impediment to institutions and economies, and as such, essential for governments to take gender concerns into account in programs and policy designs, as well as implementation.
The government has to do much, and I think that women, that the population of the women is more than the men, and if the government can take care of the women, they would have changed the community. The government need to support women, especially the women entrepreneurs, who are those promoting the growth of the economy. The government need to put up structures and strategies that will change the mindset of the women, because entrepreneurship is the only solution to poverty reduction and women's economic empowerment. The women will reduce the work for the state and will ensure that the community where they are, that there is impact, that there is a change in that community. So the state and all the stakeholders, they really need to work with the women, build their capacities, help them to build that self-confidence, and the economy will grow. Because there's no need, like in Africa, most of the women are in the informal sector. When they are in the informal sector, do they pay the taxes? They don't pay the taxes. But if you bring them from the informal to the formal sector, it will help. The government will gain more if you have to educate, if you educate them. So most of the women who are in the informal sector, I think it will not really help the economy. So the state has to get into that informal sector and see how they can put some balance or make sure that the women are doing a great job. It's for the good of the women, of the good of the state, and for the good of everybody, for the community and for the society.
When it comes to gender, I say we are all complementary. Everyone has an important role to play. So if you exclude one, there will be an imbalance. If you exclude the men, something will be lacking. If you exclude the women, there will also be a gap. You know, so it's a two-way thing. It's not as if now we need just women, let women do everything, or no, it is the men, let the men do everything. It doesn't work like that. So there is a complementary role that we all need to fit in. It's true also that looking at the gender in the sense of the biological composition of a woman, you realize that there are moments that a woman may not be able to, you know, fully fit into her role. For instance, if she's on a maternity leave, she can't do what she's supposed to do, you know. In that case, you can say, okay, maybe there is a lack there. But we still come back to the fact that we are all complementary in the sense that even a man, even if he's not on a maternity leave, there is nobody that is going to be around the clock functioning 100%, 360 degrees. There's no man like that. There's no human being. So there are moments of weakness, there are moments of strength. So if we just understand our roles and learn to work with each other, women learning to work with men, and the men accepting the women for who they are and learning to work with them, maximizing their potentials and understanding their gaps, if there are any, like I just mentioned, understanding it and learning to flow with it, I believe that we're going to have a wonderful scenario in our leadership in Africa and even in the world at large.
Even though effective leadership is more behaviorally derived and is capacity and skills-based rather than gender-based, gender remains an obstacle to women seeking and obtaining leadership positions in Africa. Hence, the call to put gender balance on the agenda of government and institutions as a top goal while seeking workable ways to bridge the gender gap.
As women leaders, the first thing is that a leader should be trusted by his own neighbors, by the friends, by the community, and by the state, by everybody in general. When you are trusted, when you are given a position, a title, the first thing is you have to know yourself, you educate yourself, know who you are. And with that in mind, you try to build good relationship. You must be able to work for your people. Be careful with your people, how you handle them, how you treat them, how you relate with them. How you relate with them, they will give you the authority to rule them. It's how you relate with them. They will give you that permission. They will trust you. And when they trust you, that's when leadership starts.
south to South Africa, east to West Africa, TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.